Not sure if we're on live yet, but anyways, it's Wednesday morning and we're going to go through the simplified Tai Chi 24 movement Yang style form. Those who've been following will go through typically a few warm-up exercises, the postures, and run through the sequence. It takes about 30 minutes or so. Hopefully you can tune in and do the best you can. If you're new to this, this is filmed every Wednesday morning at 9:30. It's on YouTube. It's a free lesson in the sense that all you do is have to tune in and subscribe. So hope this is helpful. The content is for you to learn, and hope you get benefit out of these tutorials. So getting in position, we start off with our feet shoulder width and the hands are up. We're going to do a few warm-ups. We turn the body, and some of these are basically fundamentals of the body form. So we're here. This is the hoop position, and we turn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, hands up, reach down, stretch it out. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands on your waist, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Okay, cross, knees, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Center. Hands on your waist, neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, center, tilt to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and stop. Center, down, circular movements, 1, 2, 3, reverse, 1, 2, 3, center, hands up, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet, turn your shoulders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, that loosens your upper body. That's kind of stretch the legs a bit. So we do have those downward postures, and early in the morning you might not feel like squatting down, so you got to stretch it out a little bit, get your blood moving, get your circulation going, increase the range of motion. That's really what we're doing with the stretch. Switch again, straighten this front leg, stretch out the back of the hamstring or the back of the leg. Switch to the other side. Center. So you actually have to stretch the inner thighs and work the inner leg. Squat down. So the simplified Tai Chi to get into those lower stances is not so simplified. So when you're learning in the beginning, a lot of these positions are challenging, so don't overdo it, don't strain yourself. The downward postures is not the critical part of the Tai Chi. The critical part of Tai Chi is working your shifting of weight, the balance, and so forth. The aesthetics of the position is something you strive for, but you know, it's sometimes not always capable, especially if you have, you know, problems, you know, with your lower extremities and you have joint problems and hip problems. It's something that, you know, you strive for, but it's, you know, not the most critical part, although, you know, you have something to aim for as a goal. So we have to stretch all in here and up into the joints. Where the hip socket is, there's some tendons and ligaments that really if they haven't been moving for many, many years, it's not going to be something that's going to be comfortable. So for those of you who can do this, then really it does take some practice to get into some of these lower positions. And when I show you these stretches, this is something that you can control and try to mimic and assimilate if you can. But if it's not something you can do, don't worry about it. It's not, as I say, the most critical part of doing Tai Chi. It can be, some of these lower postures you see elderly people get into, it's only because they've been doing it a while and they might have started, when they were a lot younger. So, if you start young doing this, then the flexibility and some of those things will stay with you, or you can build. You have longer time to build. When you start this type of exercise a little bit older, like doing some of like yoga and some of these disciplines that require a lot of flexibility and stretching, a lot of people hurt themselves trying to get into those positions or sustaining it because your body's not conditioned for that. So you have to realize that when you're doing exercise, it should be appropriate, for your age, and it should be the age-appropriate type of exercise, so don't overdo things. Tai Chi can be modified to adapt to certain positions. So like I said, it's not the most critical part of doing the form. The most critical part of doing the form is balancing and staying in your positions depending on what the position is like in the form. So the sustaining of the weight on one leg at a time is important because we're trying to strengthen our legs, improve balance and mobility, and then along with that you build coordination. So it's part of the course. We build coordination regardless of what style or type of Tai Chi you do. If these deep stances and some of these is too challenging for you, you might tune into the Tai Chi paradigm classes that we have that are online, because those forms don't have as many, especially the Tai Chi paradigm doesn't have the deep stances, and it's done much more erect, which is actually more compatible with most people do as a position. A lot of people don't squat down very low because their knees are bad or their hips are bad. So it's just something to think about. Okay, now from here, loosen up the shoulders. So these are not as taxing simply because it does take a bit of coordination for some people that don't do this, but it does help move the joints, move your ligaments and tendons. Okay, that loosens that up. So it's just really motion, get the shoulders going and so forth. We're going to stretch the wrists. In two directions, because we do have this hook wrist and you have to relax here. We do have this pushing, so you have to relax here to let that range of motion go, because the biggest conflict is actually tension. So if you're tense here, your hand doesn't want to bend this way. If you're tense here, it doesn't want to fold this way. So it's just giving and improving a bit of range of motion and getting accustomed to the fact that these joints actually move in those directions. So when you do this, you can feel it right here. All right. When we cross our fingers and we stretch, we can go like this. So we're giving the fingers a little bit of a stretch. We can press down, we can lift up, we can bring it down, we can flip it over, stretch it this way, stretch it this way. Then we can pull it together. Then we can make some circles. All right, just move it around. And center. Okay, we can stretch this out a little bit. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now, we do a lot of this turning and opening and closing. So we want to actually get the hip kind of twisting in here, inside that socket. And we pivot off the heel to get that to work. Pivot off. So that helps you do the toe out. But you're balancing on here. You have most of your weight on this leg. That's your substantial leg. And then you have this side, and you do the same. This leg is actually supporting your body weight. And if we turn to this direction, we can open the hip, but then we can turn back. So this actually helps us not only increase the range of motion, but it also develops a control factor, because you do have to work your hip like this and work your hip like this. So muscles create that action, because it is a motor skill. And if you're not familiar with turning your foot out because you never turned it out, it becomes a real learning curve for someone that doesn't do that. So it feels a little awkward to do that. So, it's just something that as it's a motion, but we have this capacity to do that, so we can turn it out, we can turn it in. Okay, now we have, the hip is circular, so we just kind of get a motion here and a motion here. So it's just creating a circle, and that circle becomes, and it's not so easy to do in the beginning, because you have to try to make a round movement by generating a circle. So we pivot off the toe, and we pivot off the toe. See, it's a little easier to go in than it is to go out than it is to go in. And you're going in, you make the circle, and you kind of build that bit of coordination, all right? Now, some people, actually, when we were first doing it, we would do it with the leg, and then, so when you're doing the leg and the hands together, it is a little bit, requires a little bit more control, because it's multitasking. While the hands are doing this, the lower body's doing that. So if you have a little trouble with that, that's something you can play around with and figure out how to do that. And figuring out how to do that is simply doing it and then trying over and over again. Eventually, your body will kind of figure that out. Okay, so let's go through postures in the form. So here's the mirror image. We're in the shoulder width position. So here's your shoulder width. Here's your shoulder. So that's side to side. A lot of stuff that happens in Tai Chi is really turning your feet out, squaring up the feet. You can pivot on the ball of the foot. You can pivot on the heel of the foot. So these are lower extremity type setups. So if I'm in a stance like this, I sometimes, or most of the time, have to pivot. This gives you a little wider base, and I end up in an empty stance like this. If it's neutral, I turn to the back, and here's one position. I switch stances. I step backwards that time just to give you this image. So you can see there's a posture here. You see there's a posture here. So what is that? That's front. That's to the back corner. When my hands are like this, that's opening, okay? It's 135 degrees. It's 0 here, 90 here, add 45, you're 135 degrees into the back. If I go like this, my hand is covering like this, then I'm parallel to that arm. I fold this hand and I push. That's essentially a broken down movement of the brush knee and push that happens on both sides. There's 135 degrees. I fold this elbow. That's the push. I cover this hand. This hand goes down. That's brush knee. Okay? So that's a posture in the form. We have two sides, both sides. If my hand's like this, I can't actually go to the back corner. This is as far as my body will actually allow my arms to go. Anything beyond that is actually going to strain your body. It doesn't really, this is your maximum one straight line. That's your horizontal. If we do a deep breathing, there's your horizontal shoulder width. Now in this position, I can also target this hand, switch stance, turn it up, fold this elbow, target this hand, and I go backwards. So I start here, I end up here on the other side, I start here, I end up here on the other side. So that's the hand movements. I'm stepping backwards. It's called repulse the monkey. It shows up in the form after a series of movements in that direction. We go over part the horse's mane a lot. We go over grass the sparrow's tail a lot, and the repulse monkey. Those are sort of primary postures in a lot of the Tai Chi forms. So because they're essential postures, you see them a lot. So repulse the monkey, brush knee and push happens a lot. Diagonal flying or part the horse's mane is one of the major postures. Part the horse's mane. If we step up, that's part the horse's mane. Part the horse's mane stems off of this. This is called hold the ball. So this movement in the Wu style would be like this. In the Yang style, it would be more like this. So you're more square to the movement. Okay. On the diagonal flying or part the horse's mane in the Wu style, it's a little bit more slanted, and it kind of moves away from the lower hand. Whereas in the part the horse's mane in here, it's more of a slightly lift, but then a slight turn at the end like this. So part the horse's mane looks like this. It comes from this position, the lower hand goes up, and the upper hand goes down, and you end up in this forward position. So that's part the horse's mane, right side, because it's my right leg, part the horse's mane, left side, left leg. All right? Brush knee and push, right side push, left leg forward, opposite side. Okay? We're going to step through, set up, brush knee and push. Left push, right knee, opposite. Okay? So that's how you distinguish the two postures, left and right sides. So that's brush knee, right and left side, part the horse's mane, right and left side. This position by the ear, okay, it's about 90 degrees by the ear. This hand is here. So you see, some styles when we do the preparation, the hands are closer. Here we want kind of open this up a little bit and let the arms kind of hang. So they're kind of a little bit closer to 45 degrees. You relax the shoulders and elbows, and then you open up your palms. So that's sort of a position that you would be in the lower hand. So when you brush knee, you're going to turn like this, and then you end up closer to that, where some styles work here, close. So that's framework. It varies with different styles, so you have to capture that as a stylistic difference. This hand is here, that's stork flaps wings, okay. Brush knee we just did. Strum the lute is here. Okay, so strum the lute is on your center line, you're slanted like this, and that's how it looks. Do we have it on both sides? Actually, strum the lute in this form only happens with the left side up. Okay. Now, if we were transitioning, then you would have both sides as a transitional position or setting up. So really, that's bringing your hands to this space, whether it's here or here. It becomes what we call muscle memory, and everyone knows that term. But muscle memory is not just muscles memorizing. It does memorize an action, but it's memorizing a position or an action for joint angle position. So you're controlling your joint angle, because the joint angle is really what you're manipulating as a movement. If I move to the back, I have to relax my shoulder. I have to relax it so that I could bring it around and up. I have to relax my elbow or the muscles involved with folding my elbow, otherwise it would be stiff. I have to relax my hand and wrists and so forth in order to generate a movement. So the biggest conflict in movement and why people have difficulty doing Tai Chi is because they're so stiff. Stiffness is something that the body gets accustomed to from stress, inactivity, lack of knowledge in the body, because the body just knows to be rigid. Being rigid is probably the simplest thing to do, because all you do is tense. Relaxing seems to be much more challenging, because relaxing means to let go. And people not only have to let go on a physical level, they have to let go on a mental level. So letting go is not something people like to do. It's just, maybe it's a survival thing, because once you grab onto something, you hold on to something, you don't want to let it go because you're afraid you're going to lose it. So that's maybe something that part of your innate character. But the thing is, stress, all these things that we're talking about, holding on to, being over tense, not letting it go, that's something that becomes habitual, and you're constantly in this state of mind or even physical state. You're draining your body of lots of nutrients and energy just trying to maintain that level, because you think that it's supposed to be like that. That's really not a comfortable position. Comfortable is when you relax and you go through the motion, you relax and you go through the motion and you relax. So this is repulse the monkey. I'm just doing it with, if I lift up, then it becomes more challenging, because now you have to have balance, okay? So that's really some of the concepts and ideas that we have in the Tai Chi form, and I just went over, part the horse's mane and a few things, but, for newer people, this is it, and for people that have been doing it, understand the concept, the reason why we do it. It has to be relaxed, it has to be fluid, and it has to be linked together as a connectivity. You want your hands and your legs to be moving in a synchronized fashion, okay? When we're here and we're doing, say, grasp the sparrow's tails, ward off, roll back, okay, this is in the Wu style, roll back, this is press in the Yang style, and then we pull back like this, or roll back and push. So that's the right side. When my left foot is forward, I'm here, right? I hold the ball, I ward off, I roll back, I press, and I push, okay? So if you go back to some of the other tutorials that I've done over the last several months, I've been doing this format for about 5 months. The postures are there, the sequences there, the varying tutorials, the talk that I give when I'm doing this live stream is mainly to give you more information. The visuals are great, but the thing is, just learning visually without a bit of understanding really doesn't give you enough information and goals to work through the movements. So movements can only be learned through repetition and by doing it. So you copy the movement, but then once you've learned the movement, you have to kind of understand everything else that's going on, from shifting of weight, sustaining your weight, sustaining a position and going into the next position. That's all part of the consciousness of your movement. We have this idea of conscious intent. We have a consciousness of this position so that we can sustain it, or if we go to this position, then forget this hand and then do that, you see you lost the positioning, the posture. The knee should be forward, the knee should be in line with the toe, the hand should be right in front of the face, in the same line as the leg. This hand should be back about 45 degrees again. The elbow is straight but not locked, and you're fairly relaxed because your shoulder's down. Your shoulders are not up, you're relaxed. So these are things that you have to experience through feeling of letting go. Let go of the tension and your positions will form. When we sit like this, let it go. relax. When you lift your hand, connect. The hands are working together. So those are ideas of how body becomes synchronized. So while I'm not doing a whole lot of sequential things, I'm giving you ideas of how you should practice, and some of the goals, they're really principles of Tai Chi. Using your mind and not strength, vertical spine, shifting of weight, differentiating between solid and empty. The vertical spine should be consistent. The turning of the body, not tilting when it's not necessary. And you have to build that into your body form. The body form is what that posture should look like. Posture should look like. The Jade Lady works shuttle. Okay, so that's a position. Insert the needle. That's a position. It's not over there. It's not over there. It's here, supported by where the body is. This elbow is the same as the one we just talked about. So you'll start to identify and connect with the positions that are in the form once you recognize and identify it. So we have a few minutes. I'm going to go through the form with you. We start off like this, preparation. Turn, hold the ball. Open up, ward off. And we do this 3 times. 2, 3, shift, step up, and everything comes down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we do 3 of these. Brush knee and push. And on the third one, we finish in this position. Then we do this half step and go to strum the lute. Then we repulse the monkey and we go back 4 times. 1, 2, 3. And on the 4th one, we actually end up here. Then we hold the ball, step out, ward off, roll back, press, bring it down here, and it's like a big globe that you just went over. 1, that's a turn. This happens on the opposite side. We have the right side, grasp the sparrow's tail. And then we're here again, right? Now we're here 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go back, reset. When we do a series of hand movements called the cloud hands, and there's a set of 6 hand movements till you get back to single whip again. We step out. Then we do a half step forward like this. 2 palm strikes face. We move to the corner. We reset to the opposite side, that's to that corner. We do a heel kick. The hands go down and we move up to 2 punches to the ear. This is about shoulder width, eye level. We turn to 180 degrees to the rear corner. Scoop down, lift up. The heel kick. We hold the position. We scoot down like this, go up the leg, switch feet. This knee goes up. That's a golden cockroach, stands on one leg. We set up this position. We scoot down again, go up the leg, and lift the knee. Then we go to this corner. Jade Lady work shuttle. Right hand up, right side, right leg. Jade Lady work shuttle left side. Okay? Scoot forward with that half step. Go to the back. Brush down with that. Insert the needle. Fan to the back. Turn. This is your parry. This is your punch. and we do the leopard and tiger springs to mountain. We're back to the front, so we turn to the front, step to the front corner, move the hands together, flip them over in a cross hand position, relax the elbows, and down. We come back to this position and we close. Now when we open the form, we end up here, and that's where we started. So typically you would start here and shift, close, and that reverses. So on that note, that's the form. Hope you enjoyed that. You can follow it. It's archived, and you can review it and memorize it the best you can. If you have trouble memorizing the whole thing, just remember that it's really built and made up of different postures that are linked together. So identify the postures first. Okay, on that note, I'll see you next Wednesday. Enjoy and subscribe, share it with friends.